All right, Black Lions, just want to talk to you real quick about the way ahead. So on 22 March, we went into that restriction of movement. And first of all, I want to say I'm super proud of the 99% of you that did the right thing. You got the order and you executed it to a T. And then for those 1% who didn't, you're going to have an opportunity to come explain to me why you put yourself and you put others at risk. But most importantly, for those 99%, thanks for what you did. You really helped us potentially flatten the curve out, not only inside this task force, but also across the Fort Benning. Let's talk real quick about the way ahead. So I'm officially rescinding the Task Force Restriction of Movement memo that was issued out on 22 March. Going forward now, General Order Number 1 from MCOE, Major General Brito, is our base document. I want you to reread it, refamiliarize yourself with it. A couple quick things I want to highlight. First, you got to follow local and state guidelines, right? And so last night, Governor Kemp put out a stay-in-place order for Georgia. MCOE is still working through what that means in terms of military restrictions or how that changes how we do business. All right, but remember, follow those guidelines if you live off post or if you're going off post for some event. Still continue to social and, more importantly, physically distance yourself, minimum of 6 feet. And then if you live on post, you should be staying on post, except for any items of necessity. So if you got a medical appointment you have to go to off post, if you got to go grocery shopping that you can't get accomplished at the commissary or pick up some other necessity off post, you're still allowed to do that. In addition to General Order Number 1, I'm imposing the following restrictions, the following additional restrictions. First and foremost, no alcohol consumption during a duty day. So generally speaking, Monday through Friday, 0630 to 1700, or 8 hours before you potentially start a shift, no alcohol consumption. Okay? We do have one 4-day coming up, and so obviously for that 4-day, normal 4-day rules apply. Curfew applies to all. So in the first task force restriction memo and in the General Order Number 1, it does say that curfew applies to barrack soldiers, but curfew for task force now applies to all soldiers. Makes sense. It's not really fair just to barrack soldiers. All of our soldiers on and off post should be inside their homes by 2200. Really important. Please do not interact with a TRADOC course unless you're in that course, okay? Most especially for where we reside here is going to be OCS and Airborne School. The leadership of those organizations are doing a really tremendous job of trying to keep that population kind of sheltered from everyone else so they don't potentially introduce COVID into those closed groups, that closed cohort. So, for instance, if now you're doing PT and you're over on cardiac and you see that airborne formation that's moving down to the airfield, get out of their way. Get you a good 20, 30 feet away, stop doing PT, let them come down, let them move through, and then go ahead and continue PT afterwards. And again, with PT now, it's open up to everywhere across post, but specifically stay out of those TRADOC areas. Don't go in the OCS DFAC. Don't do PT when there's an airborne company or platoon moving by. Okay, but you can do PT wherever you want on Fort Benning, just as everybody else. And then last thing I want to highlight is release of information. So the Department of Defense put out some guidelines a couple days ago that said we'll no longer report at unit and installation level how many seclusion, quarantine, and isolated cases we have, and also how many positive cases we have. Okay, so that applies to you too. You should not be putting out there on Facebook, oh hey, 47 of my company is in this status, or hey, we got 16 positive cases, which we don't. But hey, we got 16 positive cases. You should not be putting that stuff out on social media or reporting it to anybody. I just want to close with, hey, once again, super proud of how the task force has operated over the last 12 to 13 days. We did our part in flattening the curve, and I thank you for what you do. Get out there and hunt with the pack.